Hello and welcome to the No Pricks Allowed podcast with your host, Aaron Buchner from Cactus. I'm Wendy McConnell. Hello, Aaron. How are you today?
I'm doing good. How you doing, Wendy?
I'm good. I'm see that you're crazy and insane as usual. Now let's get it off to start with. What t-shirt are we wearing today? Is it a rock t-shirt?
It's from the festival. I'll stand up so people can see it. So it's the When We Were Young Fest.
That's a band.
So no, that was not the band. No, that was the festival. But
Oh, okay.
the bands are all on the
Oh,
back of
that's
the
too many
shirt.
bands. Yeah, we can't go through all of
Yeah.
those. We don't have that much time.
Okay.
No. Okay.
Yeah, they're there, and I couldn't list them.
Well, I think I've forgotten to mention the rock t-shirts the last couple of episodes, so I feel remiss. So now we've got it out. It's back on track, and now we can, go forward and not have to worry about that, okay? So, what will we be talking about today, Aaron?
Well, we're gonna talk again. No, you and I are gonna talk again about it. But for everyone else new, because we didn't record the episode, I'll throw it out. We're talking about saving for university.
Okay.
Very, very important.
So this is more about just, more than just putting money in a bank account every week that says college fund for kids, right?
Yes, so university, not college. I know we talked about this before. I know it's a very British thing, university. We talked about this before.
Yeah, we call it college here. Even though it is university, we just say saving for college. But yes, it seems very British. They say we went to university where we were like, when
Yeah.
we went to college, but
Yeah.
being that it is really a university, it's kind of the difference between soda and pop. It's the same thing.
But in Canada, we have colleges and we have universities, so we split. They are you
Oh,
either
we
went
have
to
both too.
yeah. For you call them all colleges. So we call them universities. It's or college, university or college.
What exactly I just said.
Oh, I know. Don't worry.
How do we save for university? Let's talk about it.
At least you got the term right this time. No. Yeah, so we will talk about not just putting it into some account, some savings account. We're going to talk about the special account that we have called the RESP, or the Registered Education Savings Plan, that we have here in Canada. And how we should utilize the RESP and the benefits for it, because the cost of university is not getting cheap by any sounds of the means. And I had to look it up. Like I said, I looked this up, and even we talked about it last time, and I had to look it up again. So I looked up how much my tuition was when I went to school, and I only paid, it was $1,400 is what I paid for tuition just for the year. And now it's up near almost $6,000. And there's calculations out there that say that for the whole experience, including residency, it's $75,000 for 4 years, which is just insane high amount for us here. I don't know about you in the States, because Yale probably costs like $300,000.
Well, nobody's going to Yale. I mean, come on. I mean, even if you have the smarts for it, unless you're getting a scholarship, you're not going to Yale.
Yeah. That's exactly. But we want to try and save for school, because no one wants to go have their child leave school with a debt load. I know for us, it was only like $16,000, but then to think your children might be leaving school with upwards of $100,000 in debt is not something people want to do. And I know a lot of parents are going to want to save for education. And the best way to do it is through these education savings plans that we have.
Okay. So, how do they work? Let's talk about them.
Let's talk about them. So, because in typical financial aspects, there's not just one type of RESP, there's three, just to make it complicated.
Yeah, of course.
But then you got to hire people like me to tell you, or listen to these podcasts, of there's three RESPs. Yes. So there are three RESPs. So there's an individual, there's a family, and there's a group RESP. And I can see Wendy's eyes glaze over, because we've talked about this before. So she already knows all the answers, because I did it so eloquently last time, didn't I?
I forgot, though, so help me out.
So an individual RESP allows you to add just one child, or as we call in technical terms, one beneficiary to the policy. And you would save for the school through this education savings plan for the individual one child. Your family plan allows you to add multiple beneficiaries. So you can add the brothers and the sisters together. So if you have 2 kids, 3 kids, 8 kids, you can add all of them onto this account and save in one account for them versus 8 individual accounts, which can be very cumbersome and difficult to work with. You have one joint account, all the money goes in, and it's spread amongst the kids within it. And then there's the group RESP, which is a fun one that we do have here, which is a pool of money of not just what you're saving for your kids, but what your neighbor is and everyone else who has a child within this group RESP all save into this plan. And at the end, it's the amount of money that is in there depends on how many people paid into these plans on an ongoing basis. Group plans are not good. I'm just going to outright say it. I'm not a fan of group plans. There's a lot of issues with them in them that I wouldn't want people to get into them if they can afford to not go into them.
Why is there this group plan then if you don't like it and you don't think there's any benefit to it?
I don't know why it's there. I guess some people see it as a benefit. The company that makes it sees it as a benefit, but there's a lot of downfalls with the group RESP in terms of the fees that you would have to pay to get into it, the fact that you don't have control over the investment structure and how you can invest the money. And then there's the restriction of not even knowing how much money you're going to have at the end because it's all going to be dependent on how many other people went into it. I don't know why we have them. I know we get bombarded with them when you have kids and you put in an application to get your SIN number for your child. That's Social Security number for you, right? Well, when you apply for it for the SIN, you get bombarded with these group plans. I don't know why you get bombarded with group plans, but I suggest most people to stay away from them. Pick an individual or a family plan is going to be your best option to have more control over it, less fees, and feel far more comfortable with those plans when saving for your kids' education.
Okay, so what are some of the benefits then of these, not the group, but the individual and the family are at RESP?
Well, the group still has them as well because they're still RESPs. But the best benefit of why should you use a group RES or an RESP, not a group RESP, utilize an RESP over some other accounts, such as your tax-free savings account or just a non-registered account, is because of the grant money you can receive when using these RESPs. So you get grant money from the government of Canada to the tune of 20% of your contribution. So every dollar you put in, you get 20 cents on the dollar, up to a maximum of $500 in grant money every year, up to a lifetime of $7,200 in this grant money from the government. It's pretty nice.
I like that.
Who doesn't want to, government tax us enough. I want to take some money back. It's a great way to get some money back from the government, and from your taxes and help pay for a school university. And it's a wonderful plan from it. So, of course, there are some limitations with it. Like I said, you can only get $500 annually, so you don't be thinking you can just dump in a large chunk of change and get all of it in one lump sum. No, maximum is $500, so is that. And then also, you can only get these up to age of 17. So after age of 17, you can no longer receive these grants going along. So even if someone was thinking about going to university and thinking, I could open up an RESP, you're not going to get the grant money if you're over the age of 17. So it's not going to give you that added benefit.
Okay.
But the other thing is, and for those lower income individuals, which is a nice thing, there's also an additional bonus for them called the Canadian Learning Bond, where you can get an additional $2,000 in benefits and grant money put into your account if you reach the threshold of a lower account or lower household income level. It's a nice little feature for an account. Get some free money from the government for putting money in.
If it's free, it's for me, right?
Exactly. Who's not going to 20? You can't beat a 20% return on investment. Like you put the money into TFSA. There's no guarantee. I put money into my RESP. I get 20% right off the bat. Like it's win-win-win.
Sounds like a no-brainer there, Aaron. Sounds like a definite no-brainer.
One of the nice things, if you're thinking, if you've had a kid and you're thinking about an RESP and the child is now 10 years old and you're thinking, great, I can only get 7 years of grant money, you can actually buy back the grant money from previous years, up to 7 years previous income. So even if your child is 8 or 9, you're thinking now is a great time, or you're now able to have that income to afford saving and investing for your child's education, you can buy back the previous year. So instead of putting $2,500, you can put $5,000 in and actually get $1,000 in grant money back. Which is a wonderful feature.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
So everyone always thinks, well, what can this money be used for? So we always talk about RESP, we always talk about tuition. So I'm assuming, Wendy, you probably think we can only use an RESP for tuition and nothing else, right? Is that you think it is?
Makes sense.
Makes sense to you? No, you can actually
Yeah.
use it for anything, which is the greatest benefit. They don't check receipts on what you spent the money for. You can spend this money on anything you want. As long as your child is going to a qualified university or college and has shown that they are enrolled and met the requirements, that money can be used for anything. So the kid wants to buy a car, they could do that really if they want to. I don't think it's the best use of the money. And you as the parent would probably be very upset, but you can use it for that. So this money can be used not just for tuition, but for books, for groceries, for rental income, for extracurricular activities if they're well enough to do it. So there are those nice little options. You're not restricted to just tuition and having to show receipts for it. So there is that benefit of the RESP on that reason.
What else can I spend it on?
You wanna go spend it all on candy, all the money, all $100,000, and you just want to go buy Snickers bars.
I can do that.
You can go spend $100,000 on Snickers bars. You are more than welcome to.
But I have to spend the money towards education, though. Like, what happens if I don't get my degree?
Okay, so but if you don't go to college, so you were saying if you don't go to college, if your son says, you know what, I'm not going to go to college, or your daughter says, I'm not going to go. Well, first thing is, you don't have to close the account right away. If your child decides after high school they want to do that backpacking trip through Europe, I don't know if most people do it. I never knew anyone who did it. Did you know anyone who did that? I know they talk about it in theater.
I know people who know people that did it, but no.
Oh, so it's always that like my third cousin's roommate's sister's boyfriend did it. Okay, yeah, because I don't know anyone.
Or
either.
my neighbor's niece, or something like that. But yeah, it's never been somebody that I know personally.
So, but if they decide to do that, I don't know why, it's just the thing to do. You don't have to close out the RESP. You can actually keep this account open up until year 31. So if they decide to go figure out who they are and want to go travel Europe for a few years, they are more than welcome to do that. And you can keep that RESP open and keep it invested and use it later for life for them. It's just a wonderful thing.
Yeah. So don't do anything to it if the kids come to you and say, I'm not going to go to school. I'm not going to do it. So don't, cash out the money or do whatever you need to do. Just hold on until they turn 30, and maybe then you're like, we need to have another conversation. And then by 31, they're still like, hell no, I won't go. Then you're like, okay, let's figure out what we need to do.
Yes. And then you can figure out what to do with the money. And the key thing is also, if that happens, if they decide not to go to college and then you reach that 31 years and it's like they're not going, they're not using it, they're putting their foot down, they decide not to do it. We hope that isn't the case. But if they decide to do it, what happens to the money? There's a belief out there that this money just disappears. It's just gone and you lose the money. And that is not the case of this. So your contributions you put into that account over the last few years, for 17 years hopefully, will be paid back to you. All in cash, no tax consequences on it because you've already paid taxes on it and deposited the money. So that money's not gone. The grant money that the government has supplied to you, the government takes that back, unfortunately. They go back into it and they take just the grant money. So if they only put in $2,000 of grant money, they just take $2,000 back. That's it. And then what is left is your growth on that account. So how much has that account grown in terms of interest and accumulation over time? That money you have to make a decision of what you wish to do with. If you withdraw that as cash to yourself and take that out to the parent, you are then going to be taxable on that income at your current tax rate. If you don't want to be taxed on it, you can actually roll that money over into your RRSP and not have to worry about taxes as a parent until later on in life when you decide to retire. So you don't lose the money. Well, you lose some of the money, and it's not 100% you don't lose the money, but you just lose that little bit of grant money that the government has put into it. So if you've been able to invest and have $100,000, you're only losing, in theory, $7,200 is taken out of the account. The rest of it is still yours to use the way you want to and the way you need to for yourself.
So I'm going to the designer handbag store.
See, I figured with you, designer handbags. Yeah, I figured it would be the pickleball outfits from Amazon. That's what I was thinking for.
Well, I could get a lot of pickleball outfits for one handbag price, I'm sure.
Well, I guess you need a good bag to carry your shoes and the paddle and the ball in, right?
Very good point, Aaron.
And then that's got to match, and then that has to match your outfit. So then you need multiple of those too, don't you?
So this is the savings plan that you recommend, you think is the most beneficial for people to utilize.
Absolutely. This is the one account that if you're able to save and it's important to you to save money for your kids' education, absolutely 100% utilize this RESP. Just based on that grant money and the growth you can achieve off of it, it's going to be a benefit for you. So I would suggest anyone, if they're able to and want to focus on the RESP, do you utilize as much as possible? I know a lot of people, it's difficult because here I am saying, oh, hey, you need to save for your child's education, but you also have to build an emergency fund, and you also have to buy life insurance and critical illness insurance, and groceries are expensive, and you have a mortgage, and then you're supposed to save for your retirement as well. I understand it's difficult to figure out where do you put all this money and save it up, but that's where you can talk to myself, and we can work on a financial plan of how is your money going to be best utilized for the future to reach those goals that you have, be it either saving for education or yourself for retirement. We can figure out how do you best achieve all of those at the same time and grow your money for the long term.
When do you start putting money into these savings plans?
Obviously, the earliest is the best to start. So you do have a limitation. Yes, you can start it when they're born. You have to wait until you get a SIN number for them, and then you're able to. So we're talking about a month after they're born, depending on when you submit the paperwork to get that number. But obviously, time is on your side. If you can get the full 17 years of growth and invest in this account, it's going to be far better than waiting until they're 15 and only getting 2 to 3 years worth of investing in there. And obviously, when you have longer term, you can then utilize the advantage of a higher growth, get better returns, and that money will grow higher and faster for you. So the earlier you can start this, the better. Even with $50, get that little bit of grant money and build it over time to reach those goals and help your children as much as you physically can.
Okay. Well, that sounds good. So what do you think, as we wrap up, is the big takeaway?
So the biggest takeaway is, I think like everything else, it's understand what your goals are. For some people, an RESP will be important and paying for their kids' education. For other people, your retirement might be more important. I think if anything, if you're looking at an RESP and helping your kids, it's figure out what's the goal. How much do you want to help your child through university? Are you looking for payments for everything, or just kind of help with a few things along the way, but you want them to maybe work like I did and work 3 jobs through university? And it did me well, as you can clearly see based on who I am. But and figure out what are those goals and what is more important to you. So I think when you look at it, it's build that financial plan, figure out what's important to you, prioritize the goals, and figure out how can I best move this money to reach those goals, each one, the short term and the long term along the way. Because investing, the whole point of investing and picking these plans is to reduce your anxiety, reduce your frustrations, reduce your regrets over time. And building that financial plan with me, plug, everyone come talk to me about this, will be a great benefit for you.
It'll give you peace of mind.
And peace of mind. Everyone loves peace of mind. And better sleep when your kids get older and actually like sleep in, not getting me up at 5 a.m. like they did this morning.
You'll miss those days, so I'm told. All right. So, Aaron, how do people get in touch with you if they have questions?
They can find me on my website at prickfree.com, and they can always email me at aaron@prickfree.com. And I'm all over the social media channels as well, which will be in the notes for this as well. So you can find me in all those.
All right. A pleasure as always, Aaron.
Thanks, Wendy.
Thank you for listening today. Please like, follow, and share this podcast with your friends. Until next time, I'm Wendy McConnell.
Thank you for listening to the No Pricks Allowed podcast. Click the follow button to be notified when new episodes become available. Visit our website at www.prickfree.com or give us a call at 613-876-9899. And don't forget to click the follow button to be notified when new episodes become available. The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the guest and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of Cactus. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investing advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service provider with any questions you may have regarding your investment planning. The contents of this podcast do not constitute an offer or solicitation for residence in any other jurisdiction where either Aaron Buchner and/or Sterling Mutuals is not registered or permitted to conduct business. The opinions expressed are those of the authors and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of Sterling Mutuals, Inc. Mutual funds provided through Sterling Mutuals, Inc. Commissions, trailing commissions, management fees, and expenses all may be associated with mutual fund investments. Please read the prospectus carefully before investing. Mutual funds are not guaranteed, their values fluctuate frequently, and past performance may not be repeated.